In today's episode, you are going to learn the photo manipulation in Photoshop, and we will be turning this image into something like this. So stay tuned. Hey, what's up? This is Harshvardhan and welcome to another superb episode. In today's episode, we are going to learn another photo manipulation, and for that purpose, we are going to take this image and we will transform this and we will create a realistic composition of this image in Adobe Photoshop. And before we go any further, please do subscribe to this channel if you want to take your Photoshop and photography skills to a whole new level. And to subscribe, just click the big red button below this video and don't forget to click the bell icon as well. That way you will not miss any new video from me. Having said that, let's get started. So we are basically going to put this guy onto this scene. So in this photo manipulation, we are going to do exactly the same. So first of all, let's extract this guy from the background, and for doing that, what we need to do, we need to come over here on the quick selection tool, which you can have the access by pressing W on your keyboard, or you can see over here, which is the quick selection tool. You can press W on your keyboard. Make sure you select this image, and all you have to do is you just need to paint on this guy, and it is going to quickly make a selection, and you can refine the selection by zooming in, and if you see there is some problem, press Alt and you can remove that area from the selection. And doing this, thereafter you need to come into the over here, which is here, select and mask, and once you will do this, it is going to open the select and mask option. You can adjust all of these settings over here, and then make sure you select this new layer with layer mask, and that way you will be having a separate layer by masking this layer. And there is some problem, you can fix that over here, and I have already done
Oh no!
Sorry, I have already done that, so I'll not going to do that. And you can see, let me just show you, and I have already just extracted it from the background, you can see, and now it is looking like this. And I have just placed him over here, so I can place him something like this. You can see, you can choose the location whichever you want, but I think I'm going to put him something over here. All right, and let's resize him a little bit. So we'll press Ctrl T, Command T, and by pressing Shift and Alt, I will move my mouse cursor on one of the corner and drag it inside. So this is going to be something like this, and press Enter. Okay, and now this one is fine. So first of all, before we do anything, I want to first edit the background. All right, I want to make it more stunning, though this image is already stunning. So I'll press Ctrl J, Command J to create a duplicate copy of it, and then I'll go to the filter and I will select the camera raw filter, and this is going to open the camera raw filter, and I'll first press the auto, and it's going to fix most of the problem, but I want to add more contrast, bring down the exposure a little bit, and let's add some warmness and little bit green to the image, or let's add little bit redness to the image, to something like this. And let's increase its vibrance, let's increase its saturation to something like this, and increase the clarity a little bit, and I will press OK. And we have got this result. You can see by turning it on and off with few simple settings, we have got very good result after this. All right, and now what we can do, we will just first of all make this image a little bit blurry. All right, so for that purpose, what we'll do, we'll press Ctrl J, Command J to have a duplicate copy of it, and then we'll go to the filter, and then we'll select the blur and choose the lens blur, or we can simply go to the filter blur gallery and choose the tilt shift. So we are going to apply the tilt shift option over here and we'll drag it over here. So on this part we are going to place the boy, so it should be sharper and let rest of the image not that sharp. Okay, so let me just drag it to something like this, and I can adjust these lines. So it all depends on you what kind of a setting you want, and you can adjust the blur amount of blurriness from here. So I'm going to make it more blurry, something like this, and once I am happy with the result I will press OK, and this is going to turn this image into something like this. And now let's turn on the boy, and let me just rename it as boy. And now we have placed him over here, but it is at the time floating in the air, so we need to add the shadow to this guy. So for that purpose we'll press Ctrl J Command J to have a duplicate copy of it, and we'll drag this underlying this layer, and we're going to call it shadow, and we'll convert this to smart object. So we'll right click and select convert to smart object, and then we'll press Ctrl U to have the access to hue and saturation, and we'll bring down this lightness towards the darkness, and that way that would be black. So if I just turn off, see, this layer has turned into the black, and that's how we are going to use this as a shadow. So we'll press Ctrl T Command T, and we'll right click and select the distort, and we'll click and drag it over here. Since you can see the light is coming from this side, so this shadow should go, I think, something like this. Okay, and we'll press enter, and let's just scale it a little further, maybe something like this, and press enter, and let's adjust its position to something like this. Let's zoom in, place him over here so that it fits with that, and now we need to add little bit more shadow under the shoes. So we'll press Ctrl T, and let's right click and just adjust this. So we'll select the warp tool, and we are just trying to warp it to something like this, and press enter. And what we are going to do, will go to the filter, choose blur, and choose Gaussian blur, and choose the blur of something like this, 5.8, and press OK. And let's lower down its opacity to something like this. Okay, and we'll take the brush tool, and with the softest brush, right click and choose the softest brush. By pressing B you can have the access to brush tool, and we'll convert it to the rasterized layer, and then make sure the opacity is around 10%, and with the black color we'll start to paint over here. And this is going to add the shadow, and if you want you can increase its opacity as well. And since this layer has 40% opacity or 41 opacity, it's not that much visible. So what we can do, we can create another layer above it, and then we can paint once again. All right, so that's how we will get this result, and you can see something like this is happy, this is good, but over here we need to remove it since this is a water, so there should be the reflection of the sky over here. So for that purpose we'll select the shadow layer, and we'll create a mask, and we'll zoom in, and with the black color softest brush, and we'll select it to 100% opacity, we are going to paint in. So that would remove it from here. Okay, and if you want you can even lower down its opacity even further. So let it be something like this, which is a little bit visible but not that visible. All right, and paint over here a little bit, and let's zoom in and let's remove certain part of the shoes so that they appears to be inside the or on the what it is called, on the sand, I think. All right, so what we can do, we'll select the boy layer and select the layer mask, and again with the soft edge brush we are going to paint on the hard edge of the brush. And what this is going to do, it is going to remove that hard edge and it is going to show up this sand on the shoes, so that it would appear that this person is not floating but he is just over there. Okay, and you can see this is the result we have got, but this area is too dark, so we'll just adjust this. So for that purpose we'll create another mask for it, and with the black color 20% opacity we'll just remove it from here and we'll get this kind of a result. And over here we need to add some more blackness, something like this. This one is fine. Okay, and now we need to add little bit reflection of this guy over here. So we'll create a duplicate copy of this boy once again. So we'll press Ctrl J, Command J. We'll right click and select the convert to smart object, and we'll press Ctrl T, Command T. Right click and select the distort, and we'll click and drag him over here, something like this, and press enter, and we'll zoom in and we'll create a black mask above it. And now using the soft edge brush, by selecting the mask with the 0 hardness or 20% opacity, with white color this time we are going to paint in over here. So we'll have some little bit of reflection over here. Okay, so now what we can do, we just need to blur this out little bit. So we'll go to the filter, blur, and we'll choose the Gaussian blur, but make sure you select the layer, not the layer mask. Okay, so we'll select the layer and then go to the filter, blur, and we'll choose the Gaussian blur, and we'll blur it out something like this, 5.8, that's fine, and we'll press OK. And you can see now we have got this kind of a result, and let's edit it further. So let me first free up some of my RAM, and if you want to do this, just make sure that you will not be able to go back. There won't be any Control Z command or Command Z option left once you clear your purge your data. Okay, and now let's add some light on this guy. So this is a reflection, so I'm going to call it reflection and bring it down. Okay, and over here we are going to add some light. So what we can do, we'll come to the adjustment and select our curves adjustment layer, and in the curves adjustment we'll make sure we select this clip to the underlying layer, and that way it is going to affect only this layer. And I will click and drag it up to something like this, and on this mask I will click and press Ctrl I to invert it, and now this is completely hidden, and now we want only the edges to be lighter. So we'll right click and select the soft edge brush, and this time with the white color and opacity, let's say 20%, and we are going to paint in on this side, or we can increase the opacity, let's say 90%, and we can paint in on this side because light is coming from this side, so this one has to be little lighter. Okay, and on this side as well, since sun is visible on that side as well. And you can see, slowly, and we can paint little bit on some other sides as well. And we can lower down its opacity. And using this, what we can do, we can just dose and burn this as well. So wherever you see the highlight on the face, just paint in there as well. Or we can use the separate layer, but we can do this with this layer itself. And you can see the difference by turning this on and off. You can see it has added some light to the image, and you can see the skin tone is very bad, so we'll just smooth this out. So we'll select this layer, boy layer, and go to the filter and choose okay, let's create a duplicate copy of it. So let me just group them together, Ctrl G, Command G. To group them together, press and change it first of all to the boy. Press Ctrl G, Command J to have a duplicate copy of it. Right click and select convert to smart object, and then go to the filter and blur and choose surface blur, and let's see how much blur we want. So I think I will go for 1% to 1 radius, and I will press OK. And this one is fine, but I want this effect to be visible only on the skin. So we'll create a black mask by pressing Alt or Option, and this is going to create a black mask, and now it is completely hidden. You can see it doesn't make any difference. So now we'll choose the brush tool with the soft edge brush, and let's say opacity 100%, and we'll paint on the skin with the white color, and that is going to smooth the skin out and remove this noise from the skin. As you can see, this image is very bad quality, since this has been taken with the phone, and this one is very much compressed image since I downloaded it using the using WhatsApp or Messenger, I think, and that's why the quality is very bad.